Hey, Timothy Darrell Young, Portland, or I was gonna say Portland State University, something. I went to school there. 15-year targeted individual. I got a wound on my elbow, a pretty bad infection. I don't know if it's MRSA. Some of the satanic suggest by the EMF perpetrators that are catatonic on machines and other locations. In the EMF around projecting consciousness is here, exactly like Kevin Christian describes Howard Circle perpetrating his home. That's no different. And yeah, it's the false religion, but it's really Satanism, synthetic telepathy, stuff I don't totally understand, but for I think 3 years maybe at least. And the Gang Stalkers has different terms for it. Jacking, it's satanic misdirection, identity theft, intellectual property theft, and other criteria legal that I don't totally understand. But they sit around catatonic on machines and other locations in their own feces. Their shit, their piss, and then if they're jerking each other off in the bandwidth I can't see around here, which allegedly they do, you got that psychopath, sociopath, narcissist cum in the mix there. And then they're also, like, they fit this criteria, human traffickers, Satanists, gang stalkers get paid in drugs, time off crime, sex slaves, money, to do all these things, and they have their headsets and the gear, and they think they're hiding and, make agreements with local cops. Show up to the local cops office after reading his R&M, show up as his old best friend. Be like, hey, Phil, how's it going? Cop doesn't even know. He's talking to an EMF perp. Somehow, like, really complicated identity theft for, like, my written material over the last 3 years, more or less, and it's been for the last 15 probably more acutely, through virtual drive technology while sitting, like, over there as a consciousness, like a broadcast, and his body's, like, I don't know, in Salem. I don't know where he's at. And that's the problem. I called for Governor Brown very earnestly and very seriously to mobilize the National Guard to find these guys and kill them. But anyway, so it's like a perp gang or whatnot, and so they'll, like, off this cell phone that I'm looking at, like, have a virtual drive on the phone. And I try to cut out the bloatware, and I think I'll eventually be able to root this. But he's like, his broadcast is over there, and then I try to turn things off at night and whatever, but, like, through the course of a day I'll be productive, and then when I'm sleeping, somehow he's through the device able to take all of my written productive work for the day, and then I think while I'm asleep, through his computer, using a virtual device on mine, tunneling through the Wi-Fi, very much, it may even take the form of me, like, they're able to do that, and then somehow report maybe back to his gang, and then the gang will coerce and manipulate communities I'm in, maybe through synthetic telepathy, communicating and stuff like that. But it's called satanic misdirection. So identity theft, jacking, and one of the things that they keep doing satanic repeaters over is that they want to never admit that they're stealing from me. And this guy's, like, trying to even steal my identity. A narcissist is the criteria for this stuff. Psychopath, very much so. He's bragging about he's already had a kid. So very much for the human genome, demon genome, DNA, he's already passed that on. And he's sitting here bragging about his accomplishments, effectively stealing my identity so that his misled group of perpetrators, and then the communities like Hillsborough or Redmond, oh, hi, Redmond, they think that this EMF perpetrator, who can take any form he wants, and is a real person, unclean, in multiple connotations. It's not spiritual, synthetic telepathy, but his genome with psychopath and narcissist tendencies Satanism practices that they won't even explain to people to help diffuse it. He's somehow, through all of this deception, even the cable company, PSYOP portion of this, cooperates. And I've seen it before. I usually don't interact with the community. But all that would be attributed to that Satanism, they throw at me in what's called satanic disrespect. So, like, I'll walk out in Hillsborough or something like that, and I think an EMF, this happened in Redmond, and it may have been this same guy, and he decided to show up as Billy. But this is how they, like, get worship and then accuse me of Satanism and then dodge all of that Satanism. I mean, they're unclean. They're laying in their own feces, and they're psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists. Like, many layers of what people would understand in spiritual connotations as unclean. But he's a synthetic telepathy satanic terrorist, and I've called on Governor Brown and others to round these guys up and kill them. The police force are working with these outfits. They can make the police look real good, and then these guys like are structured at least not to get caught and use few words to mislead, neurolinguistic programming and other torture techniques. But I saw it happen in Redmond. He was so bold to, I think he was appearing as Billy, my roommate, and we showed up to some place and he started introducing himself like, oh, I'm a local public official or something like that. I hadn't gotten clued, and they sort of bragged about it, maybe the same troop of EMF perps, this satanic misdirection. And it's really complicated, and I don't totally understand it, but basically this is how it worked. They have tried to steal my identity through like virtual drives, and then in the communities I'm in, appear as me, or using my content, or identity theft and stuff like that, and then heap all this satanic disrespect on me in like a 180. Redmond was like misled to believe that an EMF perpetrator Satanist was somehow me in identity theft. I'm trying to help free you from incarnating on Earth at all. And then somehow I was the evil one in ways they don't explain. I remember going to like a McDonald's there, and like maybe an EMF perp or a real perp was like making a meal said something like intent to poison me or something like that. They get fed bad information, and they tactically and strategically won't correct this satanic misdirection, which I don't totally understand. But it involves stealing my identity theft, an EMF perpetrator, pretending to be me, even in physical form somehow. And then I get heaped all of the Satanism on me, satanic repeaters and suggesters, home break-ins, torture, terrorism. And the two women that were probably EMF perpetrators as well at the emergency room last night, the EMF perpetrator cop, the EMF perpetrator fake prisoner, they may be getting misled some, probably, but they're also misleading. And in the satanic misdirection of it all also, what happens is that they'll do horrible things like in the form of like those two women, and then people take out the results of their behavior on the real women. And I don't want people unnecessarily troubled or get the satanic slingshot for behavior of electromagnetic form perpetrators. But this guy who's bragging about very much for the human genome, he's already birthed Satan's kid. He's bragging about it. And then he's also like an EMF perpetrator, successfully stolen my identity, I think for like 3 years. Like he's got people that believe that what I do in the course of a day is actually him. And then they're misled to think that I'm Satan, devil, the Antichrist, going to give birth to a demon baby, deserve to be rectally tortured into suicide, rape kids, or like trying to enslave you. I'm the perp and they're the TI. That's another technique. Is that also what's happened here is a perpetrator, broadcast consciousness, unclean, not spiritual, it's synthetic telepathy and EMF gang stalking, but it's unclean in that connotation, concepts applied. They've got somehow, like, beyond even, Redmond and Hillsborough, more people in the communities that I'm aware of, they've got them fooled that somehow me, Tim Young, the TI, is this electromagnetic form perpetrator, and I'm the reason why there's 1.5 million TI getting tortured right now. It's similar like that, and they keep going on, like they're not gonna likely correct any of this satanic misdirection. So they're trying to steal my identity and cover for their Satanism and stuff that people trained in criminal justice who got that undergrad or even master's program would know a lot more than me. The computer science guys that would be familiar with this deception technology would know a lot more than me. And I'm getting slow killed for no good reason, trying to deflate false religion, but it's really state-sponsored Satanism, Zugstrig, and slow kills and genocide. And they just keep getting rewarded. I can't find this guy to kill him. Legally, I should be able to take this motherfucker's life. Cops won't help me. They work in like systems of patsyism and corruption where they're just making the cops look good. And use very few words to mislead people, community slander me, all kinds of stuff. So I don't have a lot of the solutions for all this stuff, but that's just some of the chitter chatter talk here in the nut house. Got a Tesla coil I'm ordering, and a lead cap. They've expressed intent to interrupt the delivery and maybe disable the device, but I'll try and test it and see what I could do for some targeted individual home defense. But the Satanist here who's trying to steal my identity and cover for his Satanism is working in conjunction with the two likely EMF perpetrators, 4 of them, at the OHSU hospital on 6th Street, where they knew statistically they may have stuck me with this, whatever this was, knowing that I would have to go into the hospital. And then they didn't even culture it, and I think purposefully gave me the wrong medication and were there to like cover for it. I have a secondary medical professional here at Sequoia Mental Health and Lifework who's been wonderful, who's already talked about maybe getting me a different antibiotic. It's a slow kill. So the Satan troop that's working on me is sending in other EMF perpetrators in places they know I'm going to be at, or think that I will be at. So for those that understand a lot of the gang stalking, perp side, B system and stuff like that, I would encourage you to jump ship and start cooperating. There's some real heavy penalties for this shit, and double secret probation of you're in a fucking petri dish and you should never have done this in the first place. Second copy of first copy of Earth Theory. So you'd be wise to help me instead of working against me and kill these guys. Hi, Governor Brown. We got about 50 to 75 years before what happened to the USSR and Germany happens more acutely and with more vigor in the United States, because you won't authorize killing these guys. And the sheriff of Deschutes County is pretty sure that gang stalking doesn't exist. How's it going, champ? How's that retirement package? Say hi to Shadow Majetic for me.